It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene.
Sounds holly jolly to me.
Before it's over, let's begin.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
6 to be exact, selected and arranged for your Yuletide pleasure.
So, silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman as we engage in some
Seasonal
Shenanigans.
shenanigans!
All right, Dragon, and tonight we're about to get freaky. I'm a freak, you're a freak. Let's get freaky all week. We're talking Freakazoid, the chip, the 30th anniversary retrospective podcast. This is the Freakazoid origin story that just so happens to be set around Christmas, Dragon. It just so happens to be set around the holiday season. Not a ton of holiday stuff, but you know what? It's in the spirit. Basically, this is just a vanity project for you and I, Dragon. This is essentially just an excuse to reminisce about Freakazoid. It's like, hey, look, there's some Christmas stuff here. It counts, right? All right, but seriously, this Freakazoid, man, it goes back. Let's see. I believe Dragon. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. The first podcast you and I ever recorded together was Cartoon Fridays, correct?
That's correct.
And Freakazoid, I believe, was number 2.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So yeah, this and that was like a marathon, like 3+ hour long podcast going over every single episode. And after that, it was like, okay, I guess we're a team now. We're in this together.
And
So yeah, Freakazoid Dragon, very very foundational to our working relationship, to our sense of humor, to our in jokes. Like Freakazoid really is kind of like the one of the bedrocks of the entire channel as far as like just the vibe of the channel. It's really rooted deep into the lore of the channel, as the kids would say.
oh yeah. Yeah, folks. So, 12 years ago, Tiki and I, we very much bonded over Freakazoid. I love Freakazoid. As a kid, I basically I had very fondly remembered, Batman the Animated Series and Freakazoid as like part of like, almost like a block on Cartoon Network when the reruns for both shows on Cartoon Network, which they kind of aired back to back. Probably some Animaniacs sprinkled in as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I always loved that kind of had roots in the Bruce Timm design. But basically, what if we took like the Bruce Timm kind of framework, we made it hilarious, and it's just, oh boy, I tell you, the comedy still holds up, and for what the kids are saying today, this show lives rent free in my mind forever. It's always lived in there rent free.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dragon, what are your initial kind of thesis statement thoughts on this two-parter here?
Well, yeah. So the chip itself, I always appreciated that we gave Freakazoid's origin, a little bit of attention. I mean, if you look at season one, it's kind of it's like the only legit story focused one until maybe the season finale. Then mind you, remember, season one is very much the gag fest, then really hunker down to like, let's have it make a little bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is like, and oddly, both episodes very much, ones that have story, very much molded by the fact that we have Ricardo Montalban in there as Gutierrez. So, Gutierrez is the connecting thread there as the arch nemesis, the man who, created, is responsible for Freakazoid ultimately. And I don't know, I think it's great. And I gotta be honest, rewatching it, I got warm and fuzzy and nostalgic. As it doesn't take much with Freakazoid for me, but I realized something at the end that just kind of really hits. It's not like it never hit before. When it hits, it's like, oh my god, that no wonder this is special. So yeah,
All right. Yeah, no, I mean, I feel very much the same way. I mean, obviously, I feel like you probably, because with me and Freakazoid, like, I definitely watched Freakazoid. I really, really liked it, Dragon. Like, I liked it a lot, honestly. Like, even as a kid, out of the big three of like, Batman the animated series is kind of like in its own little, literally in its own little universe. But out of like Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, and this was by far my favorite show. This was also by far the show that I had the least access to. Because for me, I don't know, I kind of feel like the Amblin shows kind of got tossed around regionally from different in different airing blocks. I believe some of it was probably on Kids WB. For some reason, Dragon, I seem to recall Tiny Toons airing on Nickelodeon. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. I certainly remember Animaniacs being a Cartoon Network thing.
Well, no, Tiki, that happened. I mean, Tiny Toons was on Nickelodeon.
Did? Okay, good.
No, that's accurate. That did happen.
And then this, Drag, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was like very much a situation where Freakazoid would be like one of the first things that would be on the Cartoon Network programming block in the morning, right? Like you'd literally have to wake up early to get to watch Freakazoid.
I can't say because maybe
That's always been my memory of it.
Well, I mean, I know when it was on Kids WB, they did move it to the 3M slot. So maybe you're thinking of that, but I'm not sure if you're thinking of it being on Cartoon Network or not.
I think I was thinking of Cartoon Network, but it could be Kids.
I mean, look, I know they did that with Kids WB. I don't know if they also did that with Cartoon Network. It is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what killed them. They were moved like way in the wee hours, and that's kind of what.
So yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that I definitely I absolutely had a reverence for this even as a kid. I just didn't have access to the whole thing. I had access to I remember a select handful of episodes. For some reason, I know I brought this up before, but the gag specifically of Freakazoid getting the Invisibo song stuck in his head.
Where did he go?
God, I can't get that stupid song out of my head. That gag always stuck out to me, Dragon. That was always kind of like the calling card of the Freakazoid meta humor for me.
Yeah, we've had Aaron Neville. There's been a lot.
All right. But yeah, this episode, what I really like about this episode, Dragon, is I think the framing device with frickin' Jack Valenti of all people.
The real Jack Valenti, by the way.
It's gold. It's absolute gold. And I think the origin story stuff is great. Ricardo Montalban absolutely makes it. And I think, we correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't usually get this much of a glimpse into Dexter's home life as we do in this episode, if I'm remembering correctly.
I mean, aside from the pilot, pretty much, yeah.
Right, yeah. So, it's kind of fun to get those dynamics a little bit fleshed out. So this episode certainly feels like a big deal in the context of season 1 of Freakazoid. It definitely feels like a pivotal piece of the puzzle for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Any background?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to try and condense it. So, just again, in honor of the 30th anniversary of Freakazoid, just kind of what gets us to the origin story. So, post Animaniacs and Tiny Toons, Steven Spielberg, he had seen Batman the Animated Series, and he basically wanted to do a superhero parody of sorts. So he brings in, the guys who actually did the original. He brings in Bruce Timm and Paul Dini to develop a basically Freakazoid. But since basically develop a kind of a more comedic superhero show, and they came up with something that essentially was what ended up being kind of the Creeper from the new Batman Adventures. Essentially, a manic kind of a crazy superhero that could be a little dangerous and stuff. Which ultimately, the point being, they were taking it seriously. They had a lot of design. So basically, the framework of what Freakazoid ends up being is crafted by them. The characters called Freakazoid. You have Dexter Douglas. We have all the villains. All the design work is pretty much factored in there. Only Freakazoid looked a little bit more a little more, I don't want to say intimidating, but more like he could fight crime, And so Spielberg, he basically, what he wanted to do, what he was expressing is he basically wanted Batman the Animated Series crossed with Animaniacs, and really what Spielberg wanted from Freakazoid is an excuse to do a more comedy, but maybe more human-centric comedy, I guess. So essentially, that's when he and Bruce Timm and Paul Dini kind of parted ways. But the good thing that came out of that was Superman the animated series. They were working on Freakazoid until things broke up, and then he says, "Well, what now? Well, Superman the animated series. Let's do that next."
Right, right.
So so then it all goes to the Animaniacs crew, which brings us to Paul Rugg, who's very much Tom Ruger is the captain of the ship. He's basically the connecting point between Batman the Animated Series and Freakazoid because he was on Batman the Animated Series doing some of the great episodes. He had a lot of hands in Two Face as well as some other. The Gray Ghost was his biggie, which by the way gets us Joe Leahy, the announcer. Joe Leahy was in the Gray Ghost episode as that announcer, and that's how he carries over. Anyway, point being, we have Paul Rugg is so essentially it's very serendipitous that this episode takes place at Christmas because the actual origins of Freakazoid took place at Christmas.
Nice.
Because when Paul Rugg was brought into the show, it was around Christmas time. That's when they developed the show and they kind of fleshed it out there. With the Bruce Timm designs, they basically they made it a little bit more comedic and Amblin-esque with the help of Mitch Shower. Mitch Shower was the guy who did Angry Beaver, so he basically did a pass at the Bruce Timm look, and they kind of found a happy medium for the designs, along with some of the Batman the Animated Series crew that did work on Freakazoid, including this episode with Dan Reba, our director.
I noticed that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so season 1 Freakazoid, which is what we're in with this, very improv driven, that's how we get the pilot, and that's why we hop past an origin story. We basically okay, we need a proof of concept, we need the show, kind of what our flavor
basically tells you all you need to know, anyways. Honestly.
Exactly. So you have but that's the thing. So theme song essentially is like you take this episode we're talking about and we condense it into a jazzy theme song. That's pretty much how that came about. So there's no origin. So Paul Rugg and John P. McCann, they really struggled with the Bruce Timm Paul Dini Bible, like the world building stuff, or what the premise of Freakazoid was. They really struggled with it early on. And for example, when they were working on Freakazoid in like that week of around Christmas, that week of development, it was like they were spinning their wheels like madmen trying to figure, okay, how does Dexter turn into Freakazoid? How do the mechanics of that work? And there's this whole elaborate thing where, well, Dexter has a garage door opener, and then Tom Ruger walked into the room, and he basically said, guys, well, where are we? We've cracked how he turns into Freakazoid. We don't care. We need scripts and stories right now, man. So that's when they basically realized, okay, look, we want to have fun with this. We're just going to make it as funny as possible. We got to really get into it. So he says freak in, freak out. That's it. We're just going to move on. So it's very much like running, just running on the ground on that one,
Mm-hmm.
So the chip itself, because of that, was probably a very hard episode to write, which is kind of why it's a little longer than usual. Because basically they're adapting the show Bible Bruce Timm stuff, but again, they're basically stretching out what the intro to the show is, with an origin story, and the main thing they use to stretch things out and make it funny and entertaining for them was Jack Valenti. Jack Valenti was kind of the key of like, okay, how can we still make this funny versus just an episode of exposition superhero fare we're not usually used to.
I mean, it is the Jack Valenti stuff, but it's also just kind of they just lean into the fact that, like, yeah, it's a superhero origin story, kids. This is what we're doing. It's basically kind of like, so it's come to this, right?
Yep. So, we have, first episode, our origin episode is directed by Dan Reba, who worked on Batman the Animated Series, very much a character guy, and our writer on this was Paul Rugg, the voice of Freakazoid himself, and interestingly, our studio, from what I understand, I don't think they did any other episodes. If you really look at this episode compared to the other Freakazoid episodes, it is animated slightly different, because Animal House is the animation studio that did the opening to Freakazoid. So literally, Tiki, to make it even easier on themselves, they took the guys who animated the opening of Freakazoid, had them do the origin. So let's see all the other scenes that worked into that opening. Yep. And I'll save some of the other tidbits for when we get in there, but that's pretty much all you. Oh, one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how Spielberg, he looked at Animaniacs and Tiny Toons while he was doing Schindler's List, and in between Schindler's List and Jurassic Park to perk him up, right?
Sure.
Guess what depressing movie he was doing while he was doing Freakazoid because he needed like something to cheer him up.
Let's see, what would have been the Private Ryan?
Yep,
Probably?
that's
Yeah,
it, Saving Private Ryan. That was the one. So I just love that it was Spielberg. It's a very therapeutic thing for Spielberg. You know, he needed something this kind of like, oh man, the subject matter of these movies is bumming me out. I need a Man Bun show. Gene McCurdy, Gene, I need a new show. All right.
All right, so really cool. We got a couple comments from Kogias. He says, I think I was too young to understand the humor in Freakazoid. I think would appreciate and understand it more as adult. Kogias, I could totally see you like really getting into this show. You should seek it out for sure. But on the note of not understand the humor, Dragon, I think when I was a kid, I was like halfway there, right? Like I could laugh at the whole like Freakazoid calling out the Invisibo theme song in universe and be like, song stuck in my head.
I mean, it's still going to be funny whether you get it fully or not.
As a kid, I don't think I would have found the Jack Valenti stuff, for example, as funny as I do now. You know what I mean? I think that's a good example of humor that plays better as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eli, I could totally see you getting into the show for sure. Also, Dragon, without getting too exposition heavy here, Kokias asks, didn't Dan Reba also work on some other DC stuff?
Yeah.
Would you like to tell him a few?
Nah.
Fair enough. That's fair. I respect that. All right. Moving on. Okay, so let's
worked in other DCAU stuff. That's all I'm going to say. I don't have time to go through the man's bona fide right now. We're just going to move on.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a good call. Okay, so yeah, let's just kind of go through the recap. So let's start with the Jack Valenti stuff.
Yeah, we got to talk about. Okay, so here's how we got Jack Valenti. Okay, so
I assume that Steven wrote some sort of memo.
Well, more or less. So essentially, Paul Rugg, he loves throwing in random stuff as he jokes for the kids, because the kids love this. That's usually his go-to. Like, cause the kids love Paul Harvey, or the kids love Jack Valenti. So basically, it's like, okay, exactly. It started off as like a small joke. It probably would have just been like this opening here, would be my guess as to what it would have been. So it's Jack Valenti like framing, why are we doing an origin story? And he just threw it in there, and there was like, he's probably going to be like Rugg doing an impression of Jack Valenti. So Spielberg, like he saw this and says, "Oh my God, that's so funny! I can actually get you Jack Valenti. He's a friend of mine because remember Spielberg, he's buddies with Valenti because the two of them created the PG-13 rating because of Gremlins and Indiana Jones Temple of Doom." So because he's friends with the guy at the MPAA, he was like, okay, what if we had Jack? That's the one. That's why we have Jack Valenti in 2, because Spielberg loved it so much. And you'll notice Spielberg, much like he liked to torture his sisters growing up, he loves torturing his famous friends, which is why John Goodman played Fred Flintstone in that movie. But still, just the idea that that's why Jack had more scenes throughout the 2 parts, and had to say all of the ridiculous Paul Rugg dialogue.
MPAA stuff.
Yeah. So that's why later on, Jack Valenti's like saying, I'm only doing this because I'm a friend of Steven Spielberg. You hear that, Steven?
He's spitting facts, man.
So anyway, just hilarious. So the idea that we opened the episode with Jack Valenti basically reading like letters that were sent into the show. Just, dear Mr. Valenti, I love the literal tongue, and it's a very cheeky opening with him talking about his cheeks.
Is there anything to the cheek thing, Dragon, in real life?
I really just think it's
is it like a Jay Leno Chen thing?
I think so. I think so.
Oh man,
I think it's just basically. I think it's just Paul Rugg was like, "Look at Jack Valenti, man, is a really defined face. So let's just we caricature that for animation. Let's make fun of it."
Oh man,
dear Mr. Valenti, I really like your cheeks, which is just really funny. Looks to the camera. It's just yes. Anyway, so exploring the origin of Freakazoid now, basically based on the letter that has been sent. So and it's kind of interesting. It's almost Muppet movie style here. We're doing it as a movie or like an event to it. Compared to the other Freakazoid episodes, it is the longest episode they ever did.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, here's kind of a movie of the origin film of Freakazoid.
Mm-hmm. Featuring a random fight with a bear for no reason.
A man wrestles a bear for no reason.
It is coming.
All right.
I love how the recap in part 2, they literally like specifically cite that out.
Well, yeah, otherwise the joke's going to make no sense. All right, so just to kind of tee up like with the actual origin and our Christmas, we have to talk about the Christmas part of this episode.
Oh yeah, we better while it's still relevant.
Yep. All right. So again, folks, it's kind of the I can't believe it's not I can't believe it's Christmas
Basically, yes, yes.
kind of moniker that we have
It's
used
very much
before.
like it's an episode that takes place around Christmas. I would not call it a Christmas episode per se.
It takes place on Christmas Day.
Right, right, right.
Just
It
saying,
counts.
it counts. I mean, it's the whole Die Hard thing, you know. Anyway, so we're at the Apex company, basically a computer chip, kind of a computer manufacturer, and we have the wonderful Roddy McStew, who love him Freaks. The idea of Freakazoid has a mentor character, and not only that, he's voiced by the wonderful Craig Ferguson. I found something out about Roddy McStew today that I think you're going to find really interesting.
Okay.
So apparently, in the history of Freakazoid, they've only had one network note. It was a good note. It was actually the one rare good note from that a network had that was like. So Roddy McStew originally was not a Scotsman.
Oh, really?
He
Huh.
was originally. I don't. I'm not going to say problematic because it would have been funny for the times, and I'm sure they would have pulled it off in a funny way. But let's be honest, somewhat of a problem that he was going to be an Asian stereotype.
Oh no. Oh,
Originally, it was going to be more like I imagine more like a Speed Racer parody is the
or kind of
idea.
like
So
maybe like a parody Mr. Miyagi sort of deal.
possibly, I think it would honestly. I really think it would have been a cross between Mr. Miyagi and Speed Racer. That's what I really think the idea was. It was
Mhm.
what they were originally going to run with. Anyway, so then network said, maybe let's not play into that because it was it was a computer company, so it would have been an Asian guy working that. I think that's what the '90s logic was.
Sure, sure.
Anyway, point being though is like, okay, look, we gotta, you can't make him. That's just okay. Let's make him a Scotsman. I forget if the network pitched Scotsman, but I think they said, okay, let's make him a Scotsman. And guess who they originally wanted to play Roddy McStew?
I have no idea.
Mike Myers, because of So I Married an
Oh,
Expert.
yeah, that checks out. That checks out.
And he said
Dragon,
no.
I just recently watched a very infamous Mike Myers movie for my movie memoirs catch up, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
It's the one you're thinking of, probably.
Oh God. All right. Anyway, okay. Point being, so he said no, and they got Craig Ferguson. Before he became Craig Ferguson, it was awesome.
Uh-huh.
All right, so point being, Roddy McStew here. He's working in his computer company. He basically points out that their new hot selling Christmas item, the Pinnacle chip. No, not a food item, kids. The chip that you put into a computer, like a computer chip. Back when we could actually, disassemble the computers and put stuff in them physically before it was all done for us. So, so the point being, there's a flaw in the chip where basically the hot Christmas gift, if you put in basically a 450 million to one shot code in there and hit delete, you basically could turn somebody into a freakazoid. Bum bum bum. And we reveal Gutierrez, played by the wonderful Ricardo Montalban, who is basically he's Ricardo Montalban with an eye patch. This looks cool.
Yeah, I love how the design is so literal. I've always really liked that about the character.
Yeah. So, by the way, so with the becoming a freakazoid thing, so I like with our premise here, what we establish is how do we justify is working backwards from what we want to do. Okay, so we have our hero, we have just the whole shtick here. Well, why is he the way he is? So it's like in justifying this silly character, the internet drove him crazy and gave him powers, which is, I gotta admit, looking back on it 30 years later, it's like, more relevant now than ever before. The internet driving people crazy and giving them power trips. Yeah, just saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So Gutierrez again, Ricardo Montalban. So I got to share this about Ricardo Montalban because I found out this is like when exactly this took place. So this was really sweet. I had no idea about this. So this when Montalban took on Gutierrez, when he came to do, he loved doing this show, and I'm going to tell you why. So Montalban, way back in the 50s, in 51, he was doing a movie and he fell off a horse, and he could walk and everything, but the problem is he he had like this pain that kind of kept getting worse over there. So in Fantasy Island, he didn't move. His big famous thing is he's standing on the island, all those establishments. You'll notice he doesn't really move a lot in that show because he walked with a limp. So he had a perpetual injury since the fifth. He was always perpetually in pain, but you would never know. So in '93, after the first Naked Gun movie, '93, he has surgery and it paralyzed him.
Ooh.
That's why in the Spy Kids movie, he's in the chair and everything. So, point being, Multipon. So this is like this is in '95. It's like 2 years after he's been confined to a wheelchair, and I'm sure he's getting a little introspective about things. And basically, his doctors told him like, Ricardo, you got to get out of the house. We got to get you out of the house so you don't stagnate. You get depression. All sorts of stuff. And basically, Freakazoid, I'm not saying it's the only reason, but it was kind of it gave him a reason to leave the house and do stuff, and still, it was just really kind of sweet, I think, looking back on it. That really, kind of gave him a reason to, to kind of still act, to kind of still do stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Because he did get a career in voiceover kind of afterwards. And this, I think, really gave him the infusion of doing voice work.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, he always delivered. And that was the thing with Freakazoid. They loved getting the established, beautiful, fantastic character actors and getting and respected actors and getting to say the most ridiculous, silly things you've ever heard.
That was pretty much the MO of the whole show, yeah.
Gutierrez, it's Christmas Eve, gentlemen. We've sold 60 million chips. Tomorrow they'll be opening them up, having cookies and fudges, and opening gifts with cookies and fudges. Cookies and fudges and opening gifts with pinnacle chips in them. So he's waving your Christmas bonus. A recall would affect your Christmas bonus checks, which I hold in my hand, and they're all very much like, it's a one in 450 million shot. Who cares, So Roddy McStew's the only one who knows, and I love this. I love the runner of like my dear
Roddy McStew. He's such a perfect stand-in for an Uncle Ben type in Marvel. Not necessarily Uncle Ben himself, but even down to the fact that at the end of the story, he's kind of he's not dead, but he's kind of the character has to kind of go off on his own at the end of the story.
It's very much what if Ho Yinsen lived.
Exactly. It very much feels like that. Yeah.
Anyway, so I love this runner of my dear good friend Roddy McStew. Just and they put that in there
because I also how earnest the character is, in spite of the fact that he's not an offensive stereotype, but you bet your ass he's still a stereotype.
Well, to be fair, he is played by the Scotsman though, so.
Right. Yeah. No, but I mean, come on. Even Craig, there's a difference, though. Come
Ferguson
on.
Loves wearing.
Isn't a walking stereotype.
He is more. This guy is. Tiki, he's more kilts on his book covers, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just saying, if anyone can get away with it, if anyone.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm saying he made plus he made the Scotsman cool. Like Mike Myers was the imitation, man. Come on.
That's true. I'll give you that.
All right. The point being, is just so you're who else knows about this? Just me, no one else yet. So then he basically pulls kind of a diehard here, just with the Christmas thing, Christmas theming. He chucks him out a window.
Oh, gee, I wonder how that happened. That was weird.
Yep, and then we have Laugh With Me, which of course the multiple line. Laugh with me. All right, so it's Christmas Day. We're at the Douglas house. Everyone's opening their gifts. Duncan, the brother, who we rarely ever see, by the way. Duncan,
I literally forgot that he had a brother. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's like Chuck from Happy Days.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So Duncan does weights. He's punching his brother, that kind of stuff. He's. Dexter opens his gift. It's the pinnacle chip. And we have Jack Floyd bum, bum, bum.
That's fun, yeah.
Anyway, so all sorts of the gags that as a kid you probably didn't get, but now I was like, oh man, that's a really funny kind of thing they slipped past there. This is, hey, can I go put it in can I go put it in? This
okay, Dexter, but only in your computer.
I completely forgot about that. Oh my god, that's so funny. All right, so welcome to the internet.
Yes.
The computer's on. He's
very like kind of proto, like it almost kind of reminds you of how the internet is represented in the original Jurassic Park, like that sort of proto, like early 90s internet.
Pretty much.
Right.
So Mr. Chubbikins, the chubby Frank Welker cat, is like walking on the keyboard and enters in the code. Dexter sees the code on there. He hits delete, and boom. We interrupt this program to increase dramatic tension, which is really funny. Love that. So this is the first and only time we ever see Dexter. He's sucked into the internet, and Freakazoid's born. The only time we see like the full on basically the first time we see Dexter and Freakazoid, like the whole like in establishing like the two of them interacting. I should say it's the only time the two of them truly interact.
Mm-hmm. And I just really like the design of the internet. I think it's a really cool kind of like extension of what we see in the theme song. Like they really kind of took, what little we got there, and they kind of made a meal out of it. It does look there's a lot to look at here.
Oh, and of course the Freakazoid music and everything. We always have like Freakazoid's first line is like, "Hi, I'm Freakazoid. Now these messages," and just he knows he's in a TV show. It's like yes, we have this meta character who's been driven insane by the internet. Great. The proto Deadpool of his time, even though Deadpool technically existed a few years beforehand, but still.
Was Deadpool this fourth wall breaky at first, though?
Oh, admittedly, no. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Anyway, so Roddy is searching frantically for plot reasons. Mind you, there's no reason he should be able to find these people. Point being, he's searching frantically. Here's like there is a disruption in the internet.
He literally kind of reminds me of the fucking Duke from Cinderella searching for the shoe that fits Dragon.
You're right.
Door to door.
There's a lot of that. So here's like there's been an internet outage. So he's narrowed it down to the neighborhood. He's probably going door to door at this point. Computer spits Dexter out, and then we have the only interaction between him and Freakazoid where it's like, just like he says, "Hello," he's like in his stomach, and he's like, "Unzip your head." All right. And then we have the big setup line. I could sure go for a snow cone. That's going to pay off, kids.
I like how like Freakazoid is almost kind of like quietly offended that he doesn't go for it.
He is.
Like, you can almost, like, what I like about that is, like, it's almost kind of like, yeah, this guy's nice. He's cool and all, but he doesn't want to go out for me with snow cones. Like, I think I need a partner. I think that's what I need in a partner.
Yes, that is absolutely right, Tiki. So, the back and forth here that we have the only time we ever do it is between him and Dexter and Freakazoid. It's kind of a little like kind of the Mask animated series, like Ib Kiss and
I was going to say, I very much think that this show in general, I kind of feel like it has like more of the premise of the Mask and then kind of like a similar style, a sense of humor to the Tick. It's almost kind of like a blending of those two things, if I were to describe it at all.
I'd say it's accurate, but it's funny. The reason we have Paul Rugg as Freakazoid is the Mask, because when they were auditioning, they looked high and low for somebody to play Freakazoid, but they gave people the wrong instruction of how to play, and they essentially everyone kept doing the Mask because that was popular. It came out a year before, but the year in which they were working on the show, like getting everything together, was '94. So basically, the Mask had just come out, and we need zany, we need crazy. So essentially, everyone was doing a Jim Carrey Mask impression, which is not what they were looking for. And Paul Rugg was the only one who.
Then, if it wasn't the Mask, I imagine like Robin Williams' Genie was probably a big thing to try and emulate back.
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but yes, pretty much that's what everyone was doing, and it was not what they were looking for. Okay, so, they have this back and forth, just Dexter being like, by the way, David Kaufman plays Dexter. David Kaufman is Jimmy Olsen from Superman the Animated Series.
I caught that. I definitely caught that, yeah.
And now you know who that is, Tiki. You've learned something.
I know who that is!
Yeah, he can be taught. All right, so after the unzip here, so Freakazoid is kind of exacting, kind of mask-like. He's kind of exacting some revenge.
So, Dragon, really quick, I think I know who DG is, but I'm not quite sure who DD is. I know Daredevil, but I think there's another DD, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Okay, not the ballerina, Tiki. It's not the ballerina.
Let's see. Dexter Douglas, right?
Yeah, Dexter Douglas.
I'm on the ball with that.
There you go. That's right.
All right, speaking of which, just just to address it, it's a really fun kind of like alliteration comic book name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
By the way, I really like that in the Bruce Timm design principle. If you really look, and you can, it somewhat translate because Freakazoid technically is Dexter Douglas. It's like almost like a Hulk thing where you can kind of see that Freakazoid is supposedly Dexter-driven insane by the internet.
mm-hmm.
Has manifests itself as like a kind of a split personality, a Jekyll and Hyde thing he can turn into. You can see like the face shape of Dexter in there. Obviously, the voice is completely different, but it's just kind of interesting if you ever look. And that's it. Always, some people have like joked about like a Freakazoid reboot and everything. And like some people have actually kind of plotted it. There's somebody on YouTube like animatics for like a Freakazoid reboot, which is actually really because basically it's not like a gritty reboot we joke about on the Phineas and Ferb podcast, the Recapinator, but it is more of like a legit like okay, how would you basically make Freakazoid maybe a little bit more contemporary for the times, and if we had like more story based than just improv gag based,
Sure.
like what if we had a plan essentially? What if we had a plan from the anyway. So it's interesting. So there's always that was like the missed opportunity for Freakazoid. By the same token, I wouldn't change anything about it.
I honestly, I don't think it's a bug. I think it's a feature of the original Freakazoid run, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're right. I would be curious to see Freakazoid go in a more serialized direction if it's done by the right people, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the original run, man, I think they really had their finger on the pulse of like just the meta humor, the improv. I mean, like you said, I wouldn't change a thing about it, frankly. I don't think it's a missed opportunity at all.
I found out something big in my research today, my additional research.
Mm-hmm.
I found out we almost did get a Freakazoid. Freakazoid almost did come back.
Oh, man.
And it's really sad the reason it didn't. And so here's what happened. In 2019, right before the pandemic, when everyone was still around and everything it was still a great idea, because of the Animaniacs reboot that was underway, there was a discussion, and they reached out to Paul Rudd, like, hey, we're thinking about doing Freakazoid, but it was some random WB, Warner Brothers Executive Network guy. Somebody probably, I don't know if Max was like a post-pandemic thing, wasn't it?
Yes, because Disney Plus had just come out.
So that's the thing. So I think it was just
because remember Max actually kind of like had its heyday during the pandemic.
Yeah,
they were doing the whole like in theaters same day as streaming thing.
Right. So anyway, some joker at Warner Brothers, not that one. So joker at Warner Brothers, he called up Paul Rudd and basically said, like on a whim, like, well, they're doing this thing, Animaniacs at Hulu, and so like, it was considered Freakazoid, and Paul Rudd, he wrote he basically their note was like, hey, we're thinking about doing a reboot of Freakazoid. We want more like action, like more punching and kicking, karate chops and stuff. And he says, you haven't watched the show at all, have you? And they didn't have a good answer. Well, I mean, I've heard about it. So Paul Rudd's like, okay, look, let me write a draft and you read it and see what you think of it. So he wrote a draft. So basically, Tiki, this is the lost episode of what the Freakazoid reboot would have been.
Oh, wow.
And it is really good. I'm going to tell you, is what he described it to be. Long story short, it's basically Freakazoid. We see Freakazoid won the Emmys at the Emmys. That's how the thing started. It's like Freakazoid.
That's great.
And there's this hilarious Cosgrove joke.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, it was so cute, Tiki. You can imagine Ed Asner saying it. Where it's basically, I'm gonna faint. It's like, yo, Cosgrove, get up on stage.
Totally.
So they go up on stage, and then basically the Lobe seals Freakazoid away in a computer, and it was just really endearing and really sweet. Oh, I would have died to see this, Tiki. It was this thing of, so the Lobe, so David Warner, the Lobe sealed Freakazoid away in a computer, and Cosgrove for like 10 years, however, at this point, like a decade or so, however long they condensed it to, 10 to 20 years. Cosgrove is like at his home, and he's like been trying to get Freakazoid out of the computer.
Oh, man.
Like the billionth try, he finally got him out, and it's just a very casual, like, oh, so you want to go fight crime and stuff? Like, do I?
That's great. That's awesome.
Basically, actually, not fight crime and stuff. Is like, so you should probably do something about the Lobe. Yeah, Yeah, I think it probably says, okay, let's do that. And that's pretty much how it went. It was kind of like the Loeb had kind of a mega mind existential crisis. Like, well, I just want to get foiled. I don't really want to take over the world. And that's kind of that was episode 1, and that sounded amazing to me. And I would have loved to have seen that. And they sent the script in, and they never contacted them back. It's the same thing with Animaniacs. They never contacted. Same thing with Animaniacs. They never contacted any of the original creatives. Tom Ruger never got a phone call.
Which, I mean, Animaniacs, with all due respect, you could definitely tell.
I know. So that's how that happens, and then apparently it still happened. That's what cost us Freakazoid. And again, the closest thing we got was like maybe a hair of that with the Freakazoid on Teen Titans Go thing. So.
Yeah, don't you just hate that? Like, I mean, you in particular, Dragon, you in particular, doesn't it just like rub you wrong that the closest thing we got to a Freakazoid revival was in fucking Teen Titans Go?
And it really bugs me that essentially Freakazoid being sealed away. He was in like a film can, so it's essentially that awesome thing that Paul Rugg had in mind, but like the dime store version of it. It makes it even sadder is. So Paul Rugg, he was working on Earth to Net at that time. And I love Earth to Net. And I said it's a crime that they took it off of Disney Plus. But
yeah, a lot of impressive puppetry in that show that just kind of went to waste when they did that.
It's really so. Here's this. I found out this is tragic to me. It breaks my heart. So the only time Paul Rugg, they did the Andre Romano method way back in the day on Freakazoid in the '90s in Warner Brothers. So it was Andre Romano. They all recorded like a radio play, so they were all hanging out, interacting with each other, right? It's the one time because he was busy with Earth to Ed, Paul Rugg could not attend, the session because they had David Warner and Ed Asner there. And shortly after that session, David Warner passed.
Yeah, and I'm sure Ed Asner probably passed not long after that.
Exactly. So so it was
yeah, that is sad.
Yeah, and David Warner came out of retirement for that too. He was retired. He came out of retirement because he legitimately loved playing the Loeb. Because he never got to do comedy. Okay. Anyway, let's see. So, point being, shenanigans are happening. Freakazoid, he's wrestling. He's wrestling Duncan, and just the suggestion that again, deep down, is Dexter getting revenge. Say, Uncle. Say, Grandma Moses makes munchie meat most Monday mornings.
All right, I'm glad you have that line because that's hilarious.
Don't ask me to say it fast, but yes. Grandma Moses makes munchie meat most Monday mornings. I can't say it. Then we have the raking gag where we have this Tibetan monk that he's just.
I love the payoff to this.
Yeah. God. I love this. This is the only episode, by the way, where like Freakazoid, he can like jolt like a bolt of lightning, and yet every other episode though, it's like he's whoosh, just running.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
God. All right, so then we have the MPA gag here. Jack Folletti explains.
Okay. Hold on. Let me take the lead on this one.
Take the lead.
Because this is just great. I mean, it's just like Jack. He's so dry, and it's so like. I don't know. Again, it's like it's meta humor, and it's equal parts like so boring that it's funny, but it's also like it wraps back around to being borderline surreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. You describe it, Dragon.
Well, I just mean it starts off like Jack Folletti's just describing, it's basically something that he wanted to talk about during, like, we're going to cut to Jack Folletti. He says, well, what's Jack Folletti going to do? He's like, so, folks, let me tell you about the NBA.
So earnestly wants to get into it. Like, you can tell that he's just legitimately excited to talk about, even though he's giving a boring delivery.
Yeah. So that's G. G means everyone can see it. I mean, Mom, Dad, little Susie, Billy, and Grandpa and Sergeant Scruffy. I love we have Sergeant Scruffy.
I love Sergeant Scruffy, and I love that Sergeant Scruffy and Grandpa are the only two that actually get to see the NC-17 movies.
It's an old man and his dog. Carl Fredricksen can get into all the dirty movies.
Okay, now that's an Up short film that I want to see.
But then you'd have Doug like asking all these inappropriate questions during the dirty movie.
Yeah, that'd be the joke.
Is she going to bury that bone?
Oh my god, no.
Anyway. So, uh, so I love this. So Freakazoid interrupts Jack He says, "Jack, we got to cut back to the story." He's like, "No, please, this is really important. I gotta tell." We're like, "No, Jack, later, Jack."
Later, Jack.
And if you'll notice, he's like massaging his cheek.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yes.
like you would a goatee, like you would like. All right, let's see. So Roddy's driving. We have said that the gag of like Dexter's parents will let anyone in, whether they're Lon Chaney Jr. or the Scottish driving instructor. This is like,
Mm-hmm.
he needs a driving lesson on Christmas Day. He's
really bad.
Driver. He's a very bad driver. It's just, oh god, wonderfully absurd.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it says, like, I've seen many a strange thing, laddie. Even a man get hit in the belly with a cannonball. And we have all the live-action interstitial footage, and this is the first time I think we do it. We have, like, the old Ripley's Believe It or Not, like, man with the cannonball gag.
Right. Almost kind of like a proto-SpongeBob gag. Like, in some ways, I think Freakazoid was even more proto-SpongeBob than something like Ren and Stimpy was in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, in terms of being kind of stuff you actually can show the kids.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Gutierrez, he sent armed men, which again is impressive. We actually had like real gunfire and actually weapons in this. But again, kids WB, well, their bloodlust no bounds. Gunfire, kids show.
I think Kids WB is kind of just like the perfect embodiment of the whole like Ralph Bashki, like a family picture thing.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep. Anyway, so the Gutierrez has sent his men to get Dexter, who cannot transform the Freakazoid, which means he, Roddy, and the family are captured. And we have so we're in the Gutierrez's office. And it's like they have I love how we mock the old platitudes and tropes here. It was you'll never get away with it. I haven't said anything yet. Oh, sorry, jumped the gun. So then Gutierrez says, now I gotta get away with it. So Gutierrez wants to become a Freakazoid, which eventually he does by the end of the season.
I remember that. Yeah.
And we make fun of the whole Darth Vader like
this is like the closest thing that the show ever comes to actual serialization.
Pretty much, yeah. We have like the whole gag where it's like, you would let your father fall, would you? You're my father. Who's my mother? that whole thing. Would you believe Sandy Duncan? Okay. So we have like another like multi-bond delivery here. This is like the Freakazoid. Won't that be neato?
Oh god.
All right, so you can't remember how he did it. So it was like basically the cat. We just revealed the cat was also put into a chair and tied to it, which is just funny. And the animal psychologist just comes in a lot of really great, ridiculous, silly stuff, which they excelled at. The method of torture on the family we got to talk about, especially you, Mr.
Arguably the best gag in the whole two-parter, I would say.
Yeah.
It's in contention. It's up there. It's honestly, it's either that or the MPAA thing.
The best of Marty Ingalls. You monster.
I love like the genuine screams of pain that the family have when it starts, Dragon. I think that's what really sells them. Yeah.
And Roddy gives in. He says, like, oh, I guess can't put him through that torture. That'll be your stand-up someday, Tiki.
Oh, God. Okay. Thank you. Wow. All right. Anyways.
All right. So, anyways, he plans to eliminate everyone anyway. And then we have this gag, which, by the way, so the only time Paul Rugg ever
directed, honestly like a pretty decent cliffhanger for the first part, I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you know what? Never mind. I'm gonna kill them all anyways.
So when we basically get into part 2, and again, folks, we kind of cover this all as one piece because let's be honest, part 2 again is kind of segmented anyway, and it's basically more of like what we couldn't fit into the first episode. So So there's a one time Paul Rugg actually directed Ricardo Montalban was the Star Trek gag where he basically said, so he basically explained the joke, and Montalban had this really beautiful bow where he says like, no, my friend, I understand. I understand the joke. You didn't even need to. It says like, we want you to do con. You kind of turn into con years. Oh no, I understand. You understood the material. You didn't need to explain.
Yeah.
Of all people, So, because he tasked me round the moons of Sinban, the Scorpion clouds. I chuckle at and then we had the best part. Revenge is a dish best served with pinto beans and muffins. Which, oh god,
that's a freaking classic Gutierrez line. That might be like the defining Gutierrez line.
Oh, since we're because of the 30th anniversary, I just want to throw it in there. I heard this story where when they were doing one of my favorite episodes, when they were doing the Hero Boy episode, where you have Gutierrez doing like the clip show. Remember? No, it's not. It's just a duck. No, it's not a duck, my friend. It's
of course. Dragon, I feel like I need to go back and do a full series rewatch.
Yes, it's only 2 seasons, man. Watch it.
I know. It's a quick watch. Yeah.
Anyway, so in that, all of that Gutierrez riffing, Ricardo Montalban, class act that he was. They finished the episode, but they realized they're a minute short because it's a very tightly paced episode. So Ricardo Montalban graciously he came back and he basically did like riffed on the live action footage, which is what that whole scene was. He basically did some pickup dialogue. I forget what the term is. The not ad libbing. ADR. He's doing some ADR, additional dialogue placement. Anyway, so Bruce Timm was there during the session. Because they're recording at it's Romano doing a lot of stuff, so they're probably doing so many animated series at the same time. So he's just in the studio, and he listened to Ricardo Montalban doing this riff in the runner of like this is like, oh, where is your donkey now, chubby boy? Like that kind of ridiculous dialogue. And Bruce Timm's kind of a stoic guy. He's like laughing hysterically, and like Paul Rogue's like, I made Bruce Timm laugh. This is working. This is great.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I just wanted to get that in there somewhere. Ricardo Montalban ridiculous dialogue just works every time. Says sorry, wrong movie. So Dexter freaks out. He says, "I'm freaking out," which turns him into Freakazoid. I think he said the single word. And then we have a little demanded action. He sends him to a chiropractor, literally. Let's see. So Jack Valenti reminds Freakazoid what he's there to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. They find Gutierrez before he activates the flaw. Gutierrez. Anyway, so Gutierrez is a very bad typist. Roddy, he escapes into the internet. Freakazoid, he stops Gutierrez hilariously by grabbing the eye patch and.
This is classic. This is. Like again, I think definitely the 3 best gags in the episode are the MPAA thing. What did I say was the other one?
Let's see. I mean, the best of Marty Ingalls.
Yes. The torture thing, and then I don't know this eye patch thing. It's in the running too, especially because of the callback.
Yeah, the Tibetan monks there, and just Freakazoid. He was like, "When you stop earlier," he said, "When you stop with that raking, it's really annoying because he could hear it all the way from there randomly." And he's just, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry I yelled at you earlier, man. I was just under a lot of stress. Like, it's okay, my son."
It's so nice. It's genuinely pleasant.
Love it. They unleashes he lets go with the eye patch, and it sends Gutierrez flying through 3 buildings and then back. It's like, you task me, Freakazoid. He passes out. So then we have a little bit of pathos. So Roddy, he kind of sacrificed himself. He went into the computer, and he's kind of stuck in there.
Again, it's a little bit of like a Marvel Uncle Ben mentor figure kind of situation, I think.
And he wishes him luck. Says, keep up the good work, kind of a thing. Is that made water come out my eyes?
Oh my God. That's a great delivery.
It's great. He gives him the tip for freak in, freak out. So we know basically this whole episode is basically an answer to the whole garage door opener thing, pretty much. Okay, so the aftermath. Okay, this is the most important scene we got to talk about. We got to talk about right here.
Oh yeah, no, this is. I mean, yeah, it's gold. It's basically like everything else about the episode. Like we can pretty much already infer from the theme song. But this Dragon,
this is important.
This is fucking lore right here.
This Tiki, this made water. This practically made water come out of my eyes.
Oh my God, I don't blame you.
So everyone's the folks are being interviewed about the whole Marty Ingalls, all that. So Freak is always looking a little down because he asked Roddy and everyone like, "Hey, you want to get a snow cone?" And he's been turned down. So Freak is always kind of lost his mentor and his snow cone buddy potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Cosgrove, played by the incomparable Ed Asner. The man, the myth, the beloved legend, who I want to remind you, for his performance in this show, again, so Ed Asner, he basically came in there. Ron gave him the script, and he was just like kind of mumbling it to himself. Practices like, hey, Freakazoid, you want to? And they basically behind the glass, they told Andre, that's exactly what we want. Tell him to do it that way.
Exactly.
So Andre said, okay, so Ed, we want you to basically just don't act like don't. Read it. Just read it exactly the way you did. So Ed Asner, Ed Asner's best acting is when he's not acting at all.
Well, I mean, I think technically his best performance from a pathos point of view is probably Up, where he very much is acting.
No, I just mean it's funny that he
comedic acting, absolutely, yeah.
Some of his best comedic acting, he's not acting at all. So Ed Asner just as Cosgrove is like, good job, kid. And Freakazoid's a little down, yeah. And then I love it. It just starts as a gesture, and again, the fact that we've deconstructed the Batman Gordon dynamic and worked it into a comedy framework. Totally. This dynamic will always ring true for me, and I just love that we found a way, even just within the comedy. And I love that Paul Rudd, when he looks back on it, and I don't know if maybe Asner's passing has added even more pathos to it than usual for him. I know it does for us, and I think for everyone, but it's the fact that Rugg is talking about, he loved writing the other characters like Cosgrove more than writing Freakazoid himself because it was so much more fun, and you can imagine Ed Asner saying the lines. So this beautiful little moment of, hey, want to grab a snow cone? He says, do I? And it's right there. It's the Butch and Sundance moment right there. The only person who took him up on the offer to get a snow cone.
Yeah.
Do I? And he hugs him. Even I forgot that he hugged him. Do I ever? He hugs him. You see him cross. It's great. And then Freakazoid fills Cosgrove in on the whole over snow cones while they're licking these snow cones over the whole origin story that just happened. And he just casually gives him this advice. Well, you know what I would do if I were a superhero? I'd fight crime. I'd be a hero. Says you could fight crime. Nah. You could uphold truth. Nah. You can impress the ladies. I'll do it.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Oh, just a beautiful, beginning of a beautiful friendship there. And it's just the fact that we see the very first Cosgrove Freakazoid, like, hey, you want to, just decide. And then we round things out with Jack Valenti again, explaining the whole, not only explaining the whole MPA, he finishes the MPAA thing. And, only Sergeant Scruffy and Grandpa can see the NC-17's gotten through the whole thing. He says, now let me explain. So I only did this because Steven Spielberg asked me to. You got that, Steven?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And before this is that about it, it's like, not quite. And then we cut to the man fighting the bear clip.
Which is great. Again, another good callback. Just
now
all around, I feel like this episode just has so many good kind of like setups, payoffs, meta humor. It's pretty much everything you could want in a Freakazoid episode. I just think it's basically like, it's not necessarily like the absolute definitive Freakazoid episode, but it's about as close as perfect as you can get as far as the gags go.
Agree. Like, again, had you not seen any of the other episodes of Freakazoid, had you started with the origin story, you'd still be in pretty good shape and get the flavor for the show.
Totally.
Yeah, it all worked out.
All right, I don't really have any final thoughts beyond that, Dragon. I think the episode more or less kind of speaks for itself. It was a very fun revisit, in spite of the fact that, like, Dragon, would you like to reflect on the very brief bit of Christmas that we actually get here?
Well, yes, Tiki, I would. So, again, it's the big hot-selling Christmas item. There's a lot of snow saved Roddy McStew's life. We had a die-hard fall out of a building.
Uh-huh. There's a Christmas tree in the background of a couple shots.
Yeah, well, it's Christmas Day at the Douglas house. They're unwrapping the present. Again, Freakazoid's origin is predicated on a Christmas gift, Tiki. This is pivotal Christmas stuff.
We
kind of have a snowball in the form of, a snow cone. So snow there. Ed Asner has often played a Santa Claus. He doesn't do it here, but he has often played Santa.
Right.
And Christmas bonuses that are not Jelly of the Month clubs.
There we go. The Christmas bonus being an actual form of stakes is actually kind of Definitely something.
Yeah, so and also the whole driving instructor on Christmas Day, he's a very bad driver. So yeah, look, it's admittedly, folks, it's more of kind of more of a two birds one stone situation for our
This was a
purposes here.
vanity project for us.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
We can admit it.
but it's. So again, the fact his origin is so tied to Christmas, so is Bruce Willis's fame with Die Hard. You might as well. Okay.
All right, would you like to peek beneath the wrappy paper, Dragon?
I'm gonna shake it. Oop! I'm hearing some soul kind. I'm seeing really high production values. What? Oh wow! This is maybe a storied class. Man, this thing smells like it's 40 years old. Wow. Oh boy, it's
high production values, but I'm also kind of smelling some messy writing, Dragon. Some messy writing.
Am I hearing voices from Shrek? Oh wow!
All right.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, folks. Who knows what that could be?
Yep.
All right, take us out, Dragon.
Well, we also want to thank
Yeah, just of course, big thanks to Little Blue Productions and Kogias Anime Fam as always. All right.
All right, folks, time to dash away all. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time
with even more seasonal shenanigans.
Fa la 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 la. Laugh with me. Fa la la with me.